So there we go. Who wants a donut? I mean, I want a cream puff.
Yeah, well, some of us aren't as fancy as you.
What's a cream puff?
A cream
So
puff?
Claire.
You don't know what a cream puff is?
No.
Really, that's kind of amazing to me too.
Cream puff.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I like the chocolate covered vanilla ones.
Those are really yummy, but I eat more than probably a serving.
And they make really big ones too. If you go to Ovo, the Italian restaurant that's
Wow.
downtown, the cream puff is about this tall.
Oh my
Yeah, I went to a
gosh,
place in
that's
Arizona
yummy.
where it was like a giant cream puff like that with ice cream too. It's
Uh
pretty
huh.
good.
Yummy. Look at you making us hungry, man.
Mm-hmm. Well, that means you
Honestly.
didn't have your breakfast.
Huh?
See, I got my breakfast. I didn't feel hungry looking at those
Oh,
pictures.
so you bring this up because you know we didn't have our
I
breakfast.
don't know whether you had your breakfast or not. I mean,
Well,
you're
seeing
supposed
that,
to. You're supposed to take care of yourselves and have a
seeing
good
that
breakfast before
cream
coming.
puff really.
And it goes really well with dark,
Oh
with
my,
black coffee too.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, because one is sweet and the other one is kind of
Uh-huh.
bitter. So they
And
go
he's
well together.
describing it so beautifully, so you can
Hmm.
actually almost taste what you see in that
I
picture.
hope no one here is a Mormon because Mormon are not supposed to drink coffee, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yep.
Gosh, the
Yep.
Mormon
That
actually did, or at least their mate did.
it's not exactly a cardinal rule. Okay. It's just that according to their religion or religious leader, coffee is one of the things that can be unhealthy.
So what they did was they didn't make the coffee, but they went and bought the coffee at
Well, some
Coffee
people just drink
Starbucks.
Mountain Dew.
No, she bought the coffee
Okay.
and a big cup of coffee, and I said, "How come you don't make it?" Well, we're not supposed to have that in the house.
Okay.
That's our religion, so she bought it, and I said, "But isn't that the same thing?" She says, "No, because I didn't make it. I just tasted it."
So splitting hair, right?
Yes, and
Yeah.
I dropped it after that.
Yes. Better just let it go.
So
All right. So yes, go ahead.
when I was working on it, I kept saving it on my computer as an APK, but I couldn't figure out how to make it an AIK.
Okay. AIA.
AIA.
Okay, so this is how you do it. It's being recorded, okay? So no need to copy everything now. Just try to listen and understand, and the details you can watch it again in the video.
Can I make a suggestion for next
Yes,
year?
yes.
Um, I would ask a student or suggest
Mhm,
that when you upload the videos for a
mhm.
student to go put like this is what's in this lecture because you just have a date in class, right?
Yes,
So like I know I was having a tough time and I started doing that in my own notes instead of taking notes on what you talked
yes,
about. I was taking notes like hey, this is what's in this lecture, but I
yes.
didn't start till like 2/3 of the way. I didn't
That's
think of it.
that's what I told the students from day one in my classes. Is instead of frantically taking notes of things that are actually on the screen, um, just jot down the timeline.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I didn't do a good job of that until way later. I thought like I could pull it off, but
I'll make it more emphasized in my syllabus then. But I'm not gonna do it for the students
no, you
because
shouldn't. You shouldn't. I'm
because
not
I
saying
think the
just
process of doing that is helping students to pay attention in class. It's like, okay, I
it's a great
know,
idea. Yeah.
yeah, I know I don't have to pay like super attention to the details, but I need to know when tech is talking about what.
To be honest, at some
Yeah.
point I started getting pissed that other teachers weren't doing it because I was like, this is actually
Um,
super useful.
yeah, there are reasons why they don't. There are various reasons why other teachers don't do that. Some people believe that if you record something online, eventually some people will find some
Erase.
flaws and they'll hold it against you. Blah blah blah.
Oh
Okay,
wow.
that's one. I mean, what I just said earlier, right, about Mormons and whatnot. I mean, and then later on, someone may mention and go like, "Oh, tech is against religion." Blah blah blah. It's like, no. But but they can twist, right? I mean, so some people are so anxious about everything that can potentially happen, so they don't want to record anything. But if someone really has a beef with me, I can basically not record. That person can do all the recording secretly on a cell phone, right? And it's still it's still going to be out there. It's like, okay, maybe I'll just save you the trouble so that, I'm recording everything. If you have a beef, with me, okay, here it is. Go find something that you don't like, okay?
Oh, that's funny.
Yep.
I bet you did that to the kids too.
With
Made them
my
learn the
kids,
house rules. Come up with a cool way to handle their attitudes.
well, if they're in my house, they're on my dime and on my time, right? So they don't get to choose. If they like to, exercise their independence and their freedom, then they better start making money so that they can be. Yeah, that's what I tell them. If you like to eat and drink and mess up, your bedroom, where there are cockroaches and whatnot, you can certainly do that when you are in your own house on your time and on your own dime. But since this is my house and I have to pay for the exterminator if I need an exterminator, you do not get to do that.
Wow, that is cool. I wish I know that one. Yeah.
Okay, so getting back to the no texting while driving kind of program. So did you get the whole thing working or
Oh
pretty
no,
close?
Pastor, I was sick.
Oh,
I
you were
didn't
sick.
even test
Oh,
you
I'm
that.
sorry
No.
about that. So I got most of it tested, except it still does not text out. Okay, for some strange reason, it's still not texting out. But I got most of it working. In other words, if you look at the block of the second screen of main coding, I got most of it actually working in during the lab time of Monday. hmm So let's see. There we go. So this is the main one that I got mostly working. The only part that I could not get working was send message direct. For some strange reason, if I make a simple program with only one button that text, just me, with something, works without a problem. But when I put it here, for some strange reason, it does not do it. At first, I thought it was because the phone number that you get, in the block, has a +1 in it. So it's +1 and then 916 da 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 da. Okay, so I thought it was the +1. So I use a string replacement thing to get rid of the +1 thing, and it still wouldn't work. So there's something else about this program that kind of made it not work, and I cannot tell why it is not working. Not yet. So that's kind of the only part that I could not get working was this part here. I'm guessing there's some kind of interaction between. Oh, you know what? I think I know what it is. It's yeah. It's because you're trying to use the text thing um, thing inside a event handler of the same thing. I think that may be the reason. If you were to do it from outside somewhere else, it would do it. But if you're in the same event handler, that's the reason why it's not doing it. Okay,
Now twist.
so that means it's going to be a little bit of a problem because this is where you can receive a text or be told in the app that you just received a message. But since you cannot directly reply in the same block, so that means you have to set up either a timer or something else that is the event handler of another thing in order to use the texting component. I bet you that's the reason um, because I wrote a simple program. Okay, this is the code that I wrote. Okay, right here, I wrote a very simple test of texting, and if you switch to blocks, this is all I did. You click a button, it sends a message. The phone number and the message was already pre-programmed in the designer. Okay, it's static, doesn't change. Okay, this one works fine, no problem. But so I know this block, send message direct does work. But in this particular one, in the designer, I only put in my number as 916 blah 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 without the +1. So at first I thought it was the +1 that was causing the problem. But even when I stripped the +1 and I verified that using a label, and I see that, okay, it's the same number as this one without the plus one, it still didn't work. There was no way for me to get the other program to work. So I think it has to do with if your send message direct block is within the event handler of a texting thing, it does not work, which is consistent with some of the other observations about App Inventor. Of if you're in the same, if you're in the event handler of something and you're trying to trigger another operation, it does not work. Okay, so we can, so if, unless there are other questions in class, we can kind of investigate how to get around this one. Is that okay with
I just had a
everybody?
problem trying to send it to you. I was not successful at all.
Okay,
But
so
you have to download it as a
That's where I was having problems.
okay, so we'll address that first. Okay, so just in case someone wants to look at this program, so what you do is you click on projects, and then you go to export selected project to my computer,
Right.
and then it downloads it as blah blah blah.aia. You choose where you want to save it, click save, you're done.
I
It's
tried
on your
that.
program.
It did not work. I
Okay,
got an error message.
what kind of error message?
I was so frustrated because I did it like 5 times and kept saving all these various versions.
Uh-huh.
And
What?
so
But
I
what?
brought the computer in because,
Okay.
yeah, it's like, okay, it's probably
Did you
something.
did you do
I
this?
don't know if it's
Did you
the
go to
computer isn't figured.
Okay, did
I,
you go to projects?
I went to projects.
Did you say export selected project and then .aia to my
Okay,
computer?
now hit the enter key right there.
Okay.
Okay.
So since I already have the file, it makes a new file name for
It
me.
did? Okay. It didn't do the AIK. It did the APK, but not the AIA.
What you did, what you could have done is to go to you might have gone to build
I did do
and
build.
do that. So that is not what you want.
Okay.
This is how you get the APK file, which is what you need to install on the phone so that you can run the program.
So I don't know if it's because I didn't create the project right.
No, you have to go to projects, go to export.
Okay. And it will automatically show me the projects?
We are in the project right now.
Okay. So why have it up already?
Huh?
Okay, I'll try that.
Okay.
Can we do that at the lab or?
You can certainly do that.
Okay, that's good. 'Cause I'm determined. I don't want to leave here without sending it to your mailbox.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so this is how you export your project,
I thought
to
I
a
did
file.
that, and I was
But
getting some
you
weird
kept telling me
messages.
that you got an APK file. You do not get an APK file using export. You get an APK file by using build. So I think you might have used build
What
and then click
it
on.
kept saying that I didn't have a project. So I didn't know if I didn't create it.
Okay,
That was
so
the
that
project.
means you might be in my projects here without anything selected. Would that be possible?
My projects.
You're in,
Yes.
so you're
Yes.
in my projects with nothing selected. Then you say, if you now see how it's grayed out, it won't let you
Yes.
click it.
Okay.
So either you select one project, okay, or multiple projects if you want. So you can select one right now, and then go to projects, and then you can now export selected project, or you can get into the project itself, like so, and then go to projects, and now it is automatically selected because you're in the project right now.
Okay.
Is that
Do it
okay?
at the lab then, right?
Yes. So AIA is associated with the project. APK is associated with build because we are actually building the Android application package that you can actually distribute to other phones so that people can install it and run the program. That's the difference between the two file formats.
Okay.
Okay, so getting back to the program that we were in earlier. Okay, so I'm going to go back to distracted driving guard. So, okay, so since you came a little bit late, I'm just going to recap quickly. Um, so the issue is I could not use send message direct in this program. It didn't seem to work. But I think the problem is because we're inside the event handler of texting, I think that is the reason why I could not use the block that also makes use of texting. Effect, it just wouldn't let me do it. So that means we have to somehow move this block out of this particular event handler and trigger another event handler to actually eventually do it. So the one quickest way or the cheesiest way to do it is to use a timer. You just basically say, okay, we'll start the timer. Give it a tiny little delay, like 2 milliseconds or whatever. It doesn't really matter, and then have the other one to do it. Okay. So we'll try this out today. Because I got all my cables and we can actually test it today.
You gonna go drive?
Huh?
You gonna go drive?
Go drive?
Are you gonna go for a drive to real life example testing it?
I didn't ride my bicycle today.
Oh.
I did ride my bicycle on Monday, but today, since I have union meetings and it's downtown, there's no way I can make it to downtown at 2 when my class ends at 1:30 here.
Wow.
Yeah, half an hour is not enough to ride your bike to downtown from here.
That's true.
Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and make that change. We can set the message from here, so we can unblock all of this stuff here. I think the problem has to do with send message direct only, but changing the message should not be a problem. So I'm going to re-enable the block here, and changing the phone number certainly should not be a problem. So I can re-enable this block here. This one we keep disabling because it's send message, which kind of brings up the texting app, and that worked, right? That actually worked. But this one never worked. So we know this code is working. We can get it working all the way up to here, but somehow this block just does not work. Okay, but my other program, which is just a button and send a message, did work. So we know the purple block itself does work too. So it has to be an interaction between the event handler and this block. So we're going to move this block somewhere else. Let's see, what else should I? Oh, the speak part I comment out, and it's not even in the conditional statement. So we can move this one back into the conditional statement and re-enable it. I think it should be working now. Yeah, I think it should be working now. I cannot do it. I was just thinking about using speak text, use the finished, handler of this one, but I can't because sometimes it's turned off and it's not gonna trigger because text to speech one has event handlers too. When it's done talking, then it has an event handler, associated with I'm done talking. But I can't rely on that because if you do not check, speak text, then this is not going to happen. So I cannot rely on it. Okay, so getting back to the designer, what we'll do is we need a clock to set up a timer. So we go to, I think it's under sensors. Yep, there we go. So we have a clock and have the clock put it here. And we'll turn off, always fires and always enabled. In other words, the clock doesn't do a single thing until you tell it to do something. And we'll just set the timer interval to 5 milliseconds. So yes, so technically speaking, we are making a slight time delay, of 5 milliseconds, between receiving the text and sending back, a message that says, I'm driving right now. But 5 milliseconds is hardly noticeable in the context of what we're doing. So we are just, it should not be a problem. Okay. So now we can go back to blocks. And instead of sending the text direct here, so we'll comment this out or we'll disable this block. Instead, we're going to set the timer, enable the timer. So this is the part that I really do not like using a small screen because I can't see the entire thing without using 2 scroll bars. So now we get to the clock and scroll back here and then use another scroll bar to find out how to enable the clock. So it's all the way to the end because all we're doing is enabling the clock. So we just have to set timer enabled to true. Okay. and type quote and then true. Nope, that doesn't work. How about just true? There we go. But it's here we go. Okay. So that's going to start a 5 millisecond timer, and 5 milliseconds later, the timer is going to get a tick. So now we specify a new block, go back to clock, scroll back up again, and use the event handler, the only event handler for a clock, and that has to do with timer going off. So the first thing we do is to turn it off because we don't want it to keep ticking. So now we need to so go back up here and disable it by setting the timer enable to false. Okay. And then we can say false. There we go. And now we can send text direct. So we go back to the texting one and use the purple block, send text direct, stash it here. And that should, because now we're decoupling the texting send message direct block from the event handler of the texting one event handler. So hopefully this will fix the problem.
So you haven't tried this yet?
No, but it just occurred to me today, like
No, that's cool.
right at the beginning of the lecture.
It's fun watching it action.
Yep, yep. That's how my mind works. Okay, it's I only I process things as it goes. Okay, we are still getting one warning. Okay, let's try to fix that one warning. Hmm? Oh, is there still a true sitting outside? Oh, right, it's this guy. Okay, we'll just get rid of it. Okay, cool. Now we have no warning, no error. We are all good. And then, so this is when we use build. Okay, is when I'm ready to run the program. Okay, so we say build, and the QR code somehow doesn't work. So I'm gonna use this older method.
What it's supposed to do,
Mm-hmm.
it gives you a QR code for a website
Mm-hmm.
that has
The APK.
APK.
Yeah.
So that's how it's supposed to download. Well, I
Mm-hmm.
was trying it last yesterday. They updated or something because it's not working now for me.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. So I wasn't hallucinating on Monday. Okay.
I used to just not even pull up the website and just go, oh, you're downloading this. Do you want to install this? Yeah.
I
Now
see.
it goes to the website and it doesn't even do anything.
I see. Okay.
So what makes it where you don't save all these versions out
Hmm?
there?
What?
When you do the APK,
Yes.
I was creating all these versions.
I don't understand what you mean by
Okay.
versions.
Um,
Versions of what?
Well, when I saved it on APK, it would
Mm-hmm.
have a number beside it. It would
Mm-hmm.
never overlay it.
That depends on how you set up your browser. I'll show you how I set up mine.
Okay.
So if you go to your browser, you go to the settings, and then you go to, well, let's see, I cannot remember exactly where. Okay, but if you're using Chrome, you can just look for download, and somewhere it says site settings, I think, or maybe under load. Oh, okay, there we go. So you want to go to ask where to save each file before downloading. So go here, okay? So make sure this is turned on. So then it will ask you about the file name before it actually saves it. And you can even change where you save the file because it will give you a box and say, do you want to save the file here? So that's one extra step. But I'm still recording, so this is all still being recorded. You just have to kind of note the timestamp. It's about 9:29 right now. So just kind of jot down that part because that's the only part you cannot watch from the video. because it's like infinitely recursive. I have to watch. I want to know what time frame this thing is, and in order to get that, I have to watch the video itself. So it's kind of self-defeating. So the only thing we need to do is to write down the time frame, yeah, which is kind of like 9:29. How to set up Chrome to ask for file name, blah blah blah, or whatever you want to, you know, say in this case. But that's all you need to jot down because the video is being recorded, and I am pretty sure about that. Oh, there's one bad thing about the recording. I thought I started it. Yes, I did. It's the other one. Yeah, so we're good. We are good. We just have to get rid of this one, which is not doing a single thing. There we go. So we're good. I was thinking, did I just do something really, really bad, telling people that I've been recording, but I'm not? No, it's all getting recorded. Okay, so we go to the folder where the platform tools are installed, and then we just do a adb /adb install -r, and this is called, what is it called again? I cannot remember the name of the app. It's called, okay, starting with a D. Okay, there we go, PK, and that should do it. Cool. And then we'll start the screen copy thing so you can see what's on my screen. There we go. And go to the app. Okay, so, well, you can send me a text. Do you still have my number?
Yeah,
Okay.
Driving not to kill.
There's actually more to it. Trying not to kill someone.
Now, is there a way to set up an app? Because you have all the the accelerometer, all
Mm-hmm.
that. Is there a way to set it up where it will automatically start if you start moving too fast?
iPhone does that.
Does it?
Yeah, I mean, it has a driving setting that automatically will turn on
Okay.
when you're
Did you just
driving.
send?
So I assume probably it has.
Okay. Hmm. Well, I know why it's not, announcing it because my Bluetooth is still connected, so it's actually announcing to my Bluetooth.
Oh
it
yeah.
shows my phone number
Okay.
not here in that.
Yeah, because it's
So what is this supposed to do in the end? Like,
So the question is, does it text back to you?
No.
It's not texting back to you. Okay.
still?
All right. Okay. I'm gonna have to turn this off because
It's just an auto response, right?
it's an auto response. Yep.
Yeah, so that, yeah, and the iPhone one works the same, and you can customize it and stuff. Except it's kind of funny, the iPhone one, because you can customize it to say hi, but it puts like a paragraph before and a paragraph after, and I'm like, dude, I don't want to say this much. Like, just say
Okay. Go
hi.
ahead and send me another one because I just want to test the text to speech portion also. Hit me again.
Text from 916-871-1300 and the message is hello professor.
Okay, that's good.
Nice.
But it's not texting back to you. So it's still not texting back. Okay. So we know the checkbox is working. Okay, that's good. All right. So, all right. So the next thing we do is we want to see if this block actually got control, right? And I think you already have a notifier in this associated with this screen. Maybe not. Okay, so we'll just add a notifier. So go to user interface, drag a notifier here, and then in our blogs we'll do the notification. So we go to our notifier, and keep scrolling back and forth, right? And then we want to use a simple one, which is show alert. And then we'll specify and say after send message direct. Okay. And we can be more detailed as well, like, show what the message is and whatnot. I don't think that is the issue. Um, but in case we are not certain, we can also always kind of put it here. Maybe not. Let me do one more thing. I'm going to go back to my text program to see whether it is sent through the text program, which I don't think so. Okay, so I'm getting your text, but it doesn't show any replies at all. Okay, so we know it's not, that part is not working. All right. Okay, so all right. So we'll keep this one here. So the only purpose of this modification is really just to see whether we got into the timer event. If we got into the timer event, then we have some other reason why send message direct is not working in this app. But in the other app, it worked fine. So something is. So if this doesn't work, if it shows the alert but it's not actually sending the text, then we'll probably print out what number it's replying to, because if it replies to the wrong number, obviously it's not going to work. Okay. All right. Oh, you guys can't see the whole screen because it's too big. Let me rescale that. There you go. All right. Okay. So go ahead and send me a text.
Text from 916-871-1300 and the message is hello professor.
Okay, so we saw the alert message, which means it got into the timer event, and that means it must have gone through the send message direct block, but it did not actually send a text. So the next thing we can do to debug this is to try to find out, okay, where did you send that text to? Okay, and so we need to use a join, because we are joining a few things. We'll join like at least 3 things, because one is the number, one is a separator, and then the other one is really just the message itself. Okay. So we'll take out this one. Okay. And I don't want to show your full number, because this is getting recorded. I don't want other people to get your number. In case you want other people to get your number. Okay.
That makes too much logical sense.
Yeah, so I'm gonna just pick out one. Okay, but I need to know what is the actual number it's using. Okay, I will. Yeah, I'm gonna show it off the screen, so that way it won't. Other people can't see it, but I can see it, and I can tell you whether I see the number or not. Okay, so we go to texting 1, and then we pick up the phone number as one string, and then we just specify a comma, and then we specify the message as the other one. So we have, oh, that's text box, texting. So we got phone number, and then here's the message. Okay, there we go. All right. And we're going to rebuild the APK. See, when things don't work and there's no documentation, telling us, exactly how it is supposed to work or when it is not supposed to work, this is the kind of stuff that I enjoy doing. But I know some of my colleagues, would get really pissed off, get really frustrated and pissed off, especially during a class. They would feel embarrassed or ashamed. I'm shameless. Oh, did you save the file?
Thought you saved it.
I don't think so.
How many times have we downloaded it? 'Cause
Hmm?
there's 3 downloads so far.
Yeah, well, I can check
We
the.
can always do it again. I mean, at the time it takes to figure out to remember if we did it, just download it again. That's what I
Well, we can check the timestamp.
See, that's more work than just hitting download again.
Yeah, so I think that's the new one. Okay, so we can just upload it. Okay, it just got uploaded. And I'm gonna pull the app a little bit to the side. Okay, this part I can still show. Okay, go ahead and send me a text. And I'll be watching it.
Text from 916-871-1300 and the message is hello professor.
It does give me the correct phone number. So the phone number is correct, the message is good. Oh, maybe the message was too long. If the message is too long, it may say message direct may not work. Okay, so let's just assume that is the case. Okay, so this is how we debug a program: is is to find out, okay, what is the difference between this program and the one that worked. Okay, we removed a lot of the variables, all the things that we thought would be the problem. So instead of setting the message based on TinyDB, we'll just test it, with a very simple text. So let's see, we are sending the message here. Okay. So instead of pulling it off of the TinyDB and making it kind of like respond with where I am at the time, blah 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 blah, we'll just disable this block for now, duplicate it, and then re-enable the duplicate. But it's not gonna use this kind of long thingy. All it's gonna say is test. Okay, it's short. Okay, and rebuild the app.
So the response is supposed to say your response plus where you are located class, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can't leave that box. And you're thinking it's too long?
Well, I know there's a text limit. Like one single SMS has a limitation of 128 in the past. I think it's 170 characters now. May not, that may not be the case, but we have removed most of the differences between the two programs already. And the length of the message is currently one of the differences between the program that worked and the program that does not work. So I'm just trying to remove one factor at a time. And okay, so it's good. All right, so go ahead and send me a text again. I still cannot show because the phone number is still being displayed.
I think you already did, by the way.
Text from 916-871-1300 and the message is hello professor.
It's still not sending a text.
It's the one that works again?
Show the one that works. Okay, so we can always double check to make sure that the one that I thought was working is still working.
Yeah.
This is it. This is the entire program. A single button and a single texting component. And then when you look at the blocks, all it does is to say when the button is clicked, go ahead and send a message direct. So I'm using the same call. Now the only difference is I'm not setting the number and I'm not setting the message, using the purple blocks. Okay, that's different.
What does it send? What does it send when
This is, oh, okay, let me click.
The blank
I have to
message.
click on it first. No, it sends a very short message. So yes,
Oh,
I'm
there's
I'm
that.
I'm showing my number, okay, but that's okay. So all it does is to send test, right? I mean,
Slowly
You
maybe.
already you already took out the one that was in front of it.
yes, I did, and I verified that too when the number showed up on my
If you
phone.
put a message in that box, I'm going super detailed now.
Yeah, so I'm gonna replicate exactly what we did with the other one, which is not using the designer to set the message nor the phone number. I'm gonna use a block here to set it.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Just
So
because
texting, and then we'll go to set message. Okay, we need this, and then we need the other one too, which is set phone number. There we go. I'm gonna use the same format as the other one, which has all the dashes, but without the plus one. And we'll also use exactly the same message, which is test with an exclamation point. So now, as far as this block is concerned, it is now replicating what the other block has. Oh, you know what? There's one more thing. Oh no, you received the other text, right? The one that was sent through the messaging app. You received those. Okay, gotcha. Because I have to make sure that you're not.
You have to click the send button.
Yes, but that one you received. Because I'm trying to rule out the fact that you might have a blocker of some kind to block number that you do not know, but that was not the case. Okay. All right. So let's try this one. Build APK. We can also increase the delay, but I don't think that really should be the issue. We can also turn off, text to speech, because text to speech, may
yeah, let's try that
interfere.
too. It feels like that shouldn't affect that all though.
Should not.
Yeah, I guess you can set it up right there. If text to speech is on, you can set it up to where when text or the speech is finished, you can set it up in there. And then if it's not,
Mm-hmm.
you can check. You can do an else statement.
True. Yep.
It sets the timer.
Yep. All right. So this is done. Waiting for the download. Here we go. So this one is text test. Okay. All right. So it's installed, and we can look at it again. T E right there. Okay. Yep. Got my own text. So we have ruled out a lot of different factors. Um,
Where
the
was this block? It was the block is so you have it block on this one on a button. Where was it on the other one?
it was originally attached to message received, and now it's in a timer. So that's the other thing to do is to
Yeah,
put it in a button
put in a
in the
button
other
so you
app
can
and
send.
see whether it is the context that's causing it not to happen or whether it is the coding that is causing it not to happen.
Yeah, that
Okay?
was my next idea. I thought of it first.
Yes, you did.
Just gonna make that clear.
Well, I was thinking of it beforehand. I just didn't say anything.
I was thinking that you might.
Makes my voice
Okay,
sound louder.
but I was thinking that you might come up with an idea like that.
Inception.
I'm doing the second derivative. The second derivative. There's knowledge, and then there's meta knowledge, right? The knowledge of acquiring knowledge. Okay, so we go to blocks, and I don't know why this area is so small. It might have to do with the screen size. Huh?
Looks
It
bigger
looks
than normal.
bigger than normal.
Yeah, it looks like it's taking up more space than it usually does.
Oh, okay. I zoomed in. That's probably why.
It looked like that. I just thought you did it on purpose.
All right. So we're gonna do the button thing.
Button, right?
Yep. So we got button. Is it button one or is it the? How does it name the? Huh?
Pretty sure it's button one.
Okay. I thought so too. So we go to button one. We could use the other button too and only use the long click or something like that. But it's better to use this one. And it will replicate the same code as the other one. I should have copied and pasted it. We can still do that. Okay, so we just take. I cannot. I cannot control copy.
I'm pretty sure if you just drag the whole thing into the backpack, it won't remove. Yeah, so it should be in
The
the backpack.
backpack is now empty.
But click on the backpack because I think it's actually putting it in there. Then scroll down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got 2 copies of it now. How do I clean up my backpack?
Oh, right click on it and you can delete it.
Oh, okay, I see. Because I can see I'm just getting more and more stuff into the backpack. All right, so getting back to this one. Go back to blocks. Okay, we are already in blocks. Okay, there we go. Open the backpack. And just click on this one. And get rid of this one because you can only have one event handler. Okay. And now we got the same code in this other program. All
Is there a
right.
way to
Hmm?
set it to where the program click the button for you?
No.
I was gonna say if this works, we could just do that.
That would be cool, but we don't even know whether this works. So the first thing is to check whether this works. If this doesn't work, that means some configuration of this app is interfering with send message direct because we know send message itself works. So, but send message direct somehow does not
But
work.
with send message, you still have to click a button. So I'm wondering if
Yes.
maybe it has to have a user input.
Hmm. That is interesting. That's an interesting observation. But if this doesn't work, then we have a different issue. So
Yeah.
this is a good test, whether it goes one way or the other way. It gives us information.
Nope.
Okay.
Good right.
Oh, that's the wrong app.
It's not my I know where it is.
Hmm? Oh, that's just ls, and we reinstalling. Okay. So. Okay. So we're retesting it, and this time I can show it because it's just sending to me to myself, and it's not happening.
Are you gonna have office hours after today? Like,
Yeah,
are
yeah.
you gonna be able to?
9 o'clock. So tomorrow, Thursday, I have office hours at 9 to 10, and on Friday as well is 9 to 10. So unless I have a class, then I have to move my office hour around the class time or exam time. But today and Thursday and Friday, I have office hours from 9 to 10.
Oh, both Thursday and Friday,
Yeah,
There's a time
9 to 10.
Monday or
I can
Tuesday.
also adjust it too. If you cannot make it during that time, we can look into a different time.
20. But you will be down to noon essentially. I think it's 22nd.
Okay, so now I'm thinking about the configuration when I install the app somehow that the permissions are kind of maintained the same. So what I'll do is I'm gonna uninstall this program because I think the permission settings are gone as well when you uninstall an app. So when you reinstall, you'll have to reauthorize and say yes, it's okay to do this, blah blah blah. So we'll try that.
Final app.
Okay, so the app is reinstalled. When I click it, it should ask me about permissions. And it says you allow this to send and view SMS messages. Allow. Access location. Allow. There we go. And then we click the button. Nope, nothing happens. So something about this setting of the program is causing this to happen because I have not received a text yet, right? So there's nothing about the reception of a message. I have not triggered the use of text to speech because it's nothing. There has been nothing to actually talk about at this point, and it is not working. So that is interesting. Okay, I got two things. Huh?
Yeah, can you pull it up?
Well, I'm going to look at the permissions first. Okay, just go through this interface to look at the permissions. So we are
Why
looking.
would it matter?
Uh,
It's an app on your phone, right? The other one works.
yes, but I still want to take a look at
The
the.
phone number you put in also is the same number, yeah?
Yes, because I just copied the entire block
Copy
over.
the entire thing.
Yep. So when we look at permissions, there are two that are still turned off. One is phone and the other one is contact. Should not matter, right? I mean, okay. So let's say we enable those two, and
What's the other one?
hmm,
Did you look at the other one?
phone and
You enabled everything.
okay. All right. So we back out of the whole app. Okay. So it's closed. Choose an account. Oh, because now it has to find the contact. Which contact it wants to use. Okay. So we get back here. And I'm looking at all the messages that I received.
Be like disabling the notifier or using it or like there's a loop open, like you know how it's asynchronous some of the things, and so that wouldn't make sense either. But something holding it, like let's look at the box.
Okay, so I have a proposal of how to test this, or what potentially can be causing the problem. I'm just gonna disable what
Oh, I was gonna say, why don't you disable the clock too?
the clock.
Yeah.
The clock is by default already disabled. It doesn't get enabled unless I am receiving a message, which I have not. So we're gonna disable. Okay, fine. We'll disable all the blocks that we thought would be useless. So we disable the clock as well. Okay, so there we go. Disable this block. The components are still here, except they're not doing a single thing, right? Okay, so right now, okay, we got a few more response, and that's just a button click. If I'm not clicking the button, it should not activate these blocks. And his initialize, we can disable it too. I don't think it makes any difference. This is just setting a label. I mean, that's all it's setting.
But you basically disable everything and then enable things one at a time, yeah?
Yep. Okay, so we'll disable this block. Location change, get rid of that one too. Disable. Okay. All right, so now we only got that one single button, still active. So it could be GPS interfering because mine does not have GPS, and GPS is always happening in the background. It's always ticking.
Send message direct should be affected by GPS.
It depends on underneath App Inventor what kind of Java code is cranking out.
I'm assuming many people worked on it and many people were doing different things all at once. Someone probably didn't follow the coding manual.
Global variables, right? Yep. Yep. Java doesn't have global variables, but it does have class members, right? So class members are pretty much doing the same thing as global variables. Okay, well, I got it reinstalled. And go back to the app, click on the test button, and nothing happens. Still does not like it. That is very mysterious.
It is.
Well, the only thing that's different now is
It's the inclusion of the components. But we know send text works, send message works, send message direct does not work. So that's one of the other differences. All right, so let's read up a little bit more on those two: send message versus send message direct. Okay. And there are 6 occurrences of that. Okay, so the maximum length is 170, which should not be a problem. So these are the differences between the two. One is launching the default text messaging app with the message and phone number already pre-populated. We tested that and that seemed to be true. Send message direct, it would add dangerous permissions that will require additional approval if your app is submitted to the Google Play Store, which we have not submitted yet. So we'll click on dangerous permission. I think we did that last time, and it did not really help us. Okay, dangerous permissions. All it says is cover areas where the app wants data or resources that involve the user's private information or could potentially affect the user's stored data or the operation of other apps, blah, 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 blah. Read the contact. Okay. But we, yeah, but I enabled that already too. So that is not an issue. Okay. We disabled most of the blocks already. And I'm just looking at the components here and try to determine what I can do to kind of. The other thing we can do is to add components to the other app, and we keep adding all of these components until it stops working.
But this should. It seems odd because.
But it's beyond our ability to debug. Oh, wait, there's one more thing we can do to debug this.
Can you click on texting one?
Texting one.
Yeah, not there, but on the right.
This one?
I guess that works. Yeah.
Uh huh.
Just want to look at it.
Yeah, this one is pre-populated with my own phone number, which will be overridden in the app anyway. So that's.
Out, though. I mean,
Huh?
make it exactly the same as the other one.
Okay, wait. I want to show you guys another thing you can do to debug your app. This is kind of cool. Okay, so it's under ADB logcat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so this is really a cool thing to do. So we can specify. If I don't specify the options, it will spew out things so fast that we can't really process all that. Okay, so we'll do ADB log cat. Okay, so this is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. It just kind of spews out stuff. Because my phone is actually live. It's doing all kinds of stuff, and this is what is logging. So when I press the button, the messages that is because of that just went by real fast. Okay, there we go. Texting component, SMS data is phone number equals to blah blah blah. Text is da 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 and da 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 da. Texting component, SMS request, and it's okay. It's going through the Google Voice thing to send the message, and it says access denied, finding property. Okay, but that may or may not be the app itself, right? So that's yeah.
We should run the one that works and do the same
Mm-hmm.
platform tools and see if it is going using this. If it's going work. Just look at that too. No.
Mm-hmm.
See them side by side. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. But I'm
SMS was texting component. Sent SMS response. Okay. False data.
mm-hmm. Okay. So let's back out of this. because I still have the other one installed, and it's under text test. There we go. All right. Ah, okay. It just scrolled by. Okay. There we go. Okay.
Access denied again. It doesn't say sending via SMS texting component. Did you see that? It wasn't sending it through voice.
Okay. So let me do this.
You see, that's the only thing I saw quickly.
Okay.
See right here? Oh, I see. It says sending via SMS, not through
Uh huh.
not through voice like the other one said,
Uh huh.
right?
Okay. So that's a configuration of the component.
That's why I was saying to look at it, but it looked like
Yeah.
it was set the same way though, except for the phone.
It should be the same. But we have to double check that. So double check. Google Voice enabled is off
Yeah, no, the
with
other
this
one's
app.
off too.
The other one is off too.
Yeah. But for some
So
reason this is using that
hmm.
to send the text.
So this one is not using that, right? This one is using. It says message received. Text. Oh, because the other one is running in the background. That's why it received the other one. Oh, okay. Because the other app is actually running.
Sending via built-in SMS.
Right. So let me go back to the other one. Make sure it's off, right? Oh, no recent item. Okay, I just turned off every single one. So I go back to my own texting program, which is this one. Click that and do a control. Oh, okay, wrong place to do a control S. Uh, okay. Sending via built-in SMS. So that's the difference. So the app that worked, has sending via built-in SMS, but the other one is going through Google Voice, even though it was supposed to be turned off. Okay, so that gives us.
What?
Yep, go ahead.
No, I was just wondering if you uninstalled it, reinstalled it. Because you did make some changes to the voice aspect, besides just disabling. But every time you download the API or AP whatever, it should just fully, cleanly reinstall, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so. Yeah, that seems weird. Why would it be doing that?
I'm thinking about text to voice may interfere with this, right?
I mean, it's the only thing, right? That's
Yep.
the only thing that has a voice.
So-
Well, we disabled that, right?
Well, we disabled the block, but the inclusion of text to speech
As a component,
as a component may force Google Voice to be enabled.
and then use that override.
Yeah. So, okay, well, if that is the case, we can double check that, right? So we can now go to notifier and just send a show alert, okay? And we just want to know, okay? So we want to use a join, and then we specify use Google Voice is, okay? And then in the second one, we just grab that property from texting, because you can change that at runtime. So we are now getting Google Voice enabled and stash it here. So we can tell whether it's enabled or not. Even though the designer says it's off, I think the inclusion of text to speech is forcibly turning it back on by default. Okay.
I would have just deleted the component,
But we want to keep that functionality, right? We want to.
I need to see if that's a problem. I just would have deleted it to see if it works after.
Okay, I see your point. But I think if we just know whether it's turned on or not, that should make a difference.
I feel like if it doesn't alert it, it still doesn't give us a full response. Like we're still not. I mean, I wouldn't feel positive. Is what I'm trying to say.
I see. Oh well, we'll get this resolved. We still got 10 minutes. I think we got time.
And we got the lab.
And we got the lab time too. Yes.
We could go there.
But this is troubleshooting. This is what programming really is about.
That
Is
is
troubleshooting. Yep.
debugging, yes.
Yep. I think IBM did a uh, did did a study on how much time people spend, developers spend on doing different things, and they found that most of the time it's actually debugging. Debugging
Yes,
takes the most amount of time.
that is very true. I used to call it looking for a needle in a haystack.
Well, okay, so there are issues with there are interesting issues with that analogy, right? So the first question is there a needle in the haystack? And then assuming there is a needle in the haystack, the next question is how big is the haystack? Because if the haystack is infinitely large, then you may never find the needle, even though it is in the haystack. But if the answer to the first question is we don't know whether there's a needle in the haystack, and the haystack is infinitely large, then you have a big problem because you can keep searching and go like, well, is it because the needle is not actually here, or is it because the haystack is so large I just haven't found it yet? But you cannot determine which one is the answer.
More about this in 440.
Yeah, we went over this. Yep, it is using Google Voice. It says it's true. That is the issue. So now, can we turn it off, right? So we confirm the problem. Okay, so this is good. Okay, so the turning point is logcat. Okay, logcat is the capability to kind of look at what is going on with the program. It gets spews out all kinds of messages. That was the turning point because you were able to see that. In one, it was using the direct SMS, and the other one is going through Google Voice. So that's the difference between the two apps. And then we just confirm that, which means if I can turn it off here, that would be nice. You're absolutely right that you were right. And I was right that you were right about you are being right too.
So when you hit the alert said
It's true.
true.
Yep.
But
So we're gonna have to.
so what we're saying is even though we set it all, you just think by the component existing, it just always has
Yes.
it on, and
Well,
that
by
it's like a
default,
bug,
it
basically.
changed the default to on. I think that's what's happening.
And so you're trying to see if you can set it back off every time.
Also whether it stays off.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, but with this, I can only check whether I can turn it off right prior to the block,
Yeah.
but I cannot check whether it stays off.
But that's fine. I mean, if this works, then that's
Yeah.
you can still solve the problem, which is that information. You just have that
Correct.
set there every time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we couldn't have done that without that log thing.
Yeah, but you would you but without the log cat, we don't know what to
That's
suspect.
what I'm saying. I don't think we'd ever.
Oh, we could not. Okay, I misunderstood. I misheard that you said we
Yeah,
could
no,
have.
because if you, because that's like, I just call that a bug, an app inventor. That like if that thing is disabled.
We call it
or
undesirable
maybe
side effect.
secretly enabled, right?
It's an undesirable and an unexpected side effect.
Yeah. That I don't think I would ever look for. I would have just been pissed. At some point, I'd be like, why is it working here, not there? I don't get it.
This is the unique trait of INTPs. If you want look up the personality types, the INTPs have this kind of unique trait of just keep drilling and trying to figure out things. Try different ways to try to figure out the problem.
I might have been able to get to the point where thinking, okay, well, no, because even we disabled the blocks, just the component existence did that.
Yep,
I don't
got
think
it
I
now.
would have started deleting components randomly.
Okay, let me show you guys. Let me show you the good news. Good news. Good news. I turn it off. It stays off at least up to the point of send message direct, and I received it. Okay.
Receive it? I didn't see it.
Yep, I did.
I said, I mean, it's so, how do you read that? Can you fix that?
Well, he's not.
I just got it now.
Yeah.
So I just got it now.
Can you make it wider or something?
Uh,
I saw the false alert. I didn't see the text alert. Okay, that's
I can make it
Alright,
like
so now
this,
what, oh, there you go.
but then you cannot see the bottom. That's the only problem is can't see the bottom. I can see it.
Okay, that's fine. That's good enough. Oh, whatever. Doesn't matter. So now you can re-enable all your blocks and then put that set in front of the timer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're gonna do now? You can
Yep.
resize it so we can see it all. I don't care. Is that what you're gonna do?
There we go. So I got it. Yep. So we got this. I think
Get
we
rid of that button and see the location.
no keep. There's no need to get rid of the button until we absolutely do not need
Well,
it,
whatever.
right?
You can just enable everything.
Yeah, re-enable
You're
it.
gonna re-enable everything and then put that one line,
Yep.
that one block
In the timer.
And you also changed
We may not need a timer actually.
in that block you just enabled. You also changed it so it wouldn't give you customized location.
Would or would not.
You changed it to simple text message. Remember?
Oh right, right. So we have to change that.
Change that
Yep.
back too.
Yep. You got it. And
Scroll up. Yeah, you disabled that.
okay, so disable this one, disable the test one, and re-enable the original one.
Might as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not telling you what to do. That's how I would do it.
And we might not need a timer anymore because it may not have to do with the timer at all.
Oh yeah, because your original thing was with the timer. Was that?
Yeah. So we just have to add that, duplicate that block from here to turn that off to false.
But you should disable the timer then if you're gonna do that, right?
The timer is by default already disabled. It doesn't do anything until you
I thought
turn.
it is gonna do something now.
Right. Yeah, we have to turn off that. Yep, you're right. So we put it here and then disable this one.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
I approve.
So now it's pretty much back to what it was with that one extra button and a timer that doesn't do a single thing.
I was just thinking the same thing. It's not gonna work.
Mm-hmm.
Some other problem.
You have this,
That's
it's a
all
lot of
like
code.
What?
It's a lot of code you have to consider.
it's just
Mm.
bottle
Wow.
So instead of 99 bottle spirits, 99 bugs in the program. 99 bugs in the program. Take one down, fix it up. 102 bugs in the program.
In so so 19 years ago, actually more than 19 years ago, in my previous job, the company makes single board computers. What is kind of equivalent to like the Arduino board, today, on a single board computer. So I was the only software engineer at the time. So when they make a new board, when they design a new board, I would be the person who try to get it to work because I would have to write the bootstrap, code to at least know that okay, we got to here, we got to here, we got to here. But we don't have all the tools that we have today, like all the JTAG, ICE, tools and whatnot. So the only tool I got was two LEDs on the board. It's like, can we light it up? Yes. Okay, that means we got here. So I would develop the firmware, which is basically referring to the software on the board that you cannot change over time. But I'm also in charge of the library, the compiler, the GUI of the compiler, the whole tool chain. So the interesting thing is when things don't work, you really don't know where the problem is. It could be the firmware, could be the compiler, could be anything along that line. And then one year we got a very unique problem. We have been using the same chip, the same, setup, the same software, the same firmware, and has been working for years, right? And then one batch of the product, was sent out, and then customer saying, "No, none of this works. What is going on here?" You know, and of course, it's a big issue because at the time, go ahead and send me a text. I'm just,
Suspense.
yeah.
I don't know if you're doing that on purpose.
I can keep track of things, right? To be continued. Okay.
Text from 916-871-1300 and the message is hello professor.
All right. So we got it. Cool. Okay. So getting back to the problem that I got, right? So it was a huge problem because our customers were using that board inside their own product, so they now cannot ship anything out to their own customers. So it's a big deal. The marketing manager at the time was he was one of those football quarterback or previously football quarterback kind of person, and he was just breathing down my neck and go like, Tech, when are you going to be done? When are you going to be done? And I was trying to be really honest, as I usually am, and I told him it'll be done when it's done. And obviously that was not the answer that he wanted to get, right? So, so he was going like, no, blah, 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 blah. And then the sales manager came and go like, Dan, you just leave Tech alone, okay? Keep pestering him and keep asking those questions. Will only make it take longer,
Yeah.
not shorter, to fix the problem.
It's not like you're home, like, 'cause, you were at the office working on the problem.
Yeah. So anyway, so the problem. So I spent 3 days to try to fix that problem to find out what was the problem, and I had to go through the program line by line to find it. And it turns out to be an interaction between software and hardware. In the product manual, in the processor manual, it specifies that this operation this has to go first, this has to be second. Okay, and then for years, whoever wrote that code in the firmware got it reversed, but it worked. And the reason why it worked was because of a race condition. In semiconductor, there's something called a race condition, which means okay, you got two signals you're propagating at the same time, and it depends on who gets to that destination first. Okay, and if the correct one gets to the destination first, then things got done correctly. But if the wrong one gets to the destination first, things do not get done correctly. So as it turns out, before the timing of the transistors was such that the timing was it was just a
Right one got
fluke.
there first.
It was just a fluke that even though the order of operations was incorrect, it still ends up with the correct item getting to the destination first.
So it was wrong.
The new batch of processor was a new process, so they reduced the size of the transistors, and therefore they nudged the timing of things just a little bit, just enough for this problem that had existed in all the firmware up to that point to surface.
And you figured that out by your two lights?
Yeah.
And
Impressive.
good debugging skills.
Yeah.
That, but it took me 3 days, and I did work about 9 hours each day, and only on that problem during that time. So I ruled out all the possibilities. It's like, nope, it's not this, it's not that, because it used to work, right? So it's not something that's really obvious. Cannot be something obvious. So it has to do with something in the processor, because everything else really should not matter, because we didn't change the crystal, so it's still operating at the same frequency, but it's inside the processor, the propagation of the signal, the timing is off just a little bit. And I looked at that instruction and go like, well, that doesn't seem to be correct. And looked up the manual, and the manual said, nope, you have to write the low byte first and then the high byte, but the program was doing the opposite. Fix that, everything was done. It's like everything was good again. Yep, took 3 days.
That's pretty fast.
Yep, and there were other really interesting problems too. We got sent to MGM Grand, the casino, in Las Vegas, because they use our products in their slot machines, not to control the slot machines. I wish they did. Then I'll put a little time bomb into the devices and go like, if I hit the lever exactly like this, then I get the jackpot, right? I get all the coins. So they were only using our boards to monitor the payoff. Okay, so it's only communicating and report back the payoff. And the boards were dying. Okay, well, occasionally you get boards dying. I mean, that's not unusual. Okay, but it's kind of like a plague. They died as if there's a plague. Okay, one died, and then the other ones die, and then the other ones die, and then before you know it, half of the operation was gone. So we were called to get there, and we spent 3 days in MGM Grand. They pay for our room and whatnot. I mean, room was like yeah, by the time you get to the room, it's like you just drop dead because we were working like 20 work hour days, so we only got like 4 hours of sleep, and then we wake up and then we go all the way down to the basement. The basement of MGM Grand is like a mini city itself. It has got electric vehicles, okay, running around. They have their own, restaurants for employees. They have, like, small, places for people to rest and whatnot. Um, so the problem was really interesting. At first, we thought that it was a software issue, but no, it was actually a hardware issue. And we tested everything. It's like, okay, let's shock this connection here. Zap, zap, zap. Okay, no problem, because they were supposed to, be able to deal with all those zapping, up to a certain amount of energy. So what we found was when they repair boards, they did not observe ESD protection protocol.
All the static stuff.
And remember, this is in Nevada in the summer, right? And inside the casino, it was air conditioned. So when you combine all of the factors, the humidity of the air was like single digit or really low, like maybe 10, 15% at the most. And it was carpeted. So people walking, like the employees, walking, the technicians walking, they were building up quite a charge, and then they opened up the panel, and then they try to fix things, and when they did that, they sent the charge via the communication cable to the neighboring computers,
Oh my gosh.
and that's why it spread like a plague. Because one goes down, you have all the other ones surrounding it also going down. You fix one of those things, and then you just keep propagating the problem. It was interesting.
Cool, yeah.
Just out of curiosity and not even knowing this was the problem to begin with, I just dragged my feet and tried to see how much of an arc I can make in the casino. I was able to make a half-inch arc without really trying very hard. So I just kind of dragged my feet, walk up to a machine and go like, it was half an inch. And it takes a lot of electrostatic to build a half-inch arc. Okay, so the next class is going to come in, but we got the mystery solved. Oh, you're welcome, and thank you for giving me an interesting problem to solve.